levels. Yo. Oh, yeah.
Sound good?
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, what's good, my boy?
Nothing, man. I'm just getting to the city. And it's funny because when we wanted to originally set up, like doing a podcast, locking in on a podcast, I see now that we had two different visions.
What was your vision? Hold on. Well, before we get to that, let me get this straight. I guess you technically the first official, at least with the camera. I talked to a couple of my people the other day, but you're the first official on the camera.
That's how it's supposed to be. That's how it's supposed to be, actually.
Yeah.
How we sounded up, like how we set it up and everything like that. I feel like this was supposed to be, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then for me to come in the city and just be here completely by chance.
Yeah.
And you just tapped me out like, shit, why not? I had no reason to be like, nah, I can't really do it. I was like, nah, I'm going to just, even if I had something to do, I would have made it happen.
It was probably, I will say, asking a lot of people, kind of just like, hey, y'all trying to come talk or whatnot, and kind of really halftime. I didn't even explain the vision. I just talked to it, but everybody was like, yeah. But literally when I text you, I thought about it in like 2-3 minutes before that. Oh, like, nigga, what you doing in the city? Nigga, next time you come up there? Because I was just thinking, I'm like, if anything, I'm just going to go to D.C. He ain't really got a choice.
See, that's the thing, though. Like, people would tell me, like, oh, yeah, we can do it up in Richmond, or I can just come up to D.C. I'm like, man, with D.C., man, you're going to end up being late. You're going to end up being late trying to tie stuff together because D.C., man, getting around sometimes, parking, it's like, it's a lot. You know what I'm saying?
But I've definitely prepared my life for shit like that. I just be like, I already know it's a 2-hour drive regardless.
Yeah.
And then I already know when you get up in the city, certain days got to pick out well every weekend. But yeah. But what you talking about? You said, what was your vision? Because this particular one kind of came out of like a accumulation of different ideas.
Yeah.
And then this part, I felt like it was a good vibe. I could just talk to anybody. It don't matter what the conversation is.
Exactly.
And ain't really no structure or whatnot.
So it's like, you know, with the one, like what I shoot on like social media, like just the story for story.
Which I love.
Thank you, man. Thank you. And like I was like, okay, how can I tie this into, because remember when we first started talking about, we started like throwing around ideas and stuff like that. And I couldn't tell you what I meant for some reason. I couldn't convey the idea for some reason. So I was like, I just got to show them. And then my first episode, I just shot it like kind of in my apartment. And then I was like, okay, I have these scenes, I have these setups and things like that. And now I can just start, I guess, being that I know how to structure the setup, with being able to get certain angles and stuff like that and getting better with that. I just wanted to make it as cinematic as I could.
Same.
While trying to like, I don't know how I would have did that. Like, let's say we're having this conversation right now, and how I would have got like multiple angles and stuff like that. I don't know how I would have did it.
But it's literally the same idea.
Yeah.
I've literally, and I'm still trying to figure that out. I'm still trying to figure out certain things and different angles and so on and so forth. But the same idea.
Yeah.
We're still on the same page.
Yeah. And walking in and seeing this, I was like, okay, this is tough. This is tough. I see exactly what he meant now. And now I get to see a vision. You know what I'm saying?
But even with this, like, with this particular part, and I can kind of talk about the other part too, but even with this particular part, I don't even need all the setup. Yeah. This is just because we at the crib. It's easy. I could just take the mic, maybe a camera if I want to, if I just want to do an audio, and I could just sit there and talk to anybody.
Yeah.
And it don't have to be a long period. It could be like a 15 conversation, 10, because I just kind of want to flood the ecosystem. So.
I got you. I know what that means.
Yeah.
I know what that means. I know how that feels like when you finally get I think the biggest thing is the equipment, man. Looking at everything and understanding, like getting one piece at a time, or just like structuring and then figuring out, okay, I got this. Kind of like what we was talking about before we set up, like knowing what you need, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And just locking in. But man, I'm chilling. I like this.
Definitely with the I don't want to say the most difficult part, but the part that put a hold on a lot of this is you just can't really just go out and buy something random.
Nah.
Like you can, on a very basic level, anybody could do photography, anybody could do videography, anybody could do a podcast. Yes.
Yeah.
And you could do it as simply just with your phone mic and so on and so forth. But like if you got different goals and different quality levels, you can go buy a camera.
Yeah.
But then you don't got the right lens.
Yeah.
And then if you don't know how to put the settings and you're just trying to figure out like, okay, now that's one mission.
Yeah.
All right, so now I got that. Like, oh, I need to learn about lighting.
Yeah.
That's a whole before you even get the lighting, it's putting the frames together.
Yeah.
So,
and then I said you got the audio locked in. Audio has always been the most intimidating thing to me. Like when it comes to shooting content, because like being able to, of course, like this is relaxed. Like let's say when we're talking about like shooting a film and stuff like that, having a team with a boom arm, knowing how to set up the audio where you can get the shot, but still have the audio set up, and you got to match it with the particular setting. It's a lot, man.
Yeah, and I feel like the way I would end up learning that is out there by my dam.
Yeah.
But when I'm learning, like a lot of this stuff is much easier with a team.
Yeah, for sure.
You can be a one-man band with this type of stuff, but it is not efficient at all.
Yeah.
And there's no way you could remember or do everything. Like you just said with the boom arm, it is a particular sound.
Yeah.
It's a whole team that's solely focused on the sound.
Exactly.
I would not be able to do that and try to direct and trying to film and so on and so forth.
It's crazy because just speaking about audio and you saying like, oh yeah, when you buy equipment, you can't just go out and buy equipment. It's so true. I have equipment that I've completely abandoned thinking that I needed it. So I got like directional mics, like omnidirectional mics. I have all the audio stuff, but it's like it sits in like a container in my house because I never use it. I just use my iPhone.
Yeah, I've developed one of those containers.
Yeah, and just like I have all my tech in it. It's kind of like it seemed like a toolbox, honestly. And I just open it up, have everything in there.
Are you the type of person that you gotta try? Let's say you got a picture, like I gotta go. I don't necessarily have to go, but for me to understand this, I need to get this to understand this.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
I got like shiny object syndrome.
Oh yeah.
So I see something like, yeah, I need it right now. And with my lady, I tell her like, oh yeah, I say we're getting this because of course I say that just to let her know, hey, this is what I'm gonna do. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But I try to frame it like we need this so
it's
much.
It's a group effort.
Yeah, you know
it's
what I mean?
Definitely both of us.
So I have to do it like a salesman. I have to like, buy her into the idea because she's gonna ask me, well, why did you get this? Why did you get that? And I'm like, because I need it. And 9 times out of 10, I probably don't because I figured out how to like do more with less. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I feel like, well, I'll tell her my big plan.
Yeah.
But then I had to also let her know that it's a good chance the first couple of days of it is just all BS.
It's chaos a little bit.
It's all BS.
Yeah.
Just go with it. You can just vibe, just make me feel good. Just but now if you got questions when that 3rd, 4th day coming out, I'm like, all right. Because I don't necessarily I don't like spending a lot of money.
Yeah.
But then I can like justify it in my brain for whatever BS reason.
Yeah.
So so like I might swipe and I'll be like, damn, that camera kind of.
Yeah.
But if I do this. But one thing definitely with this one, I'm like, all right, if I get this camera, which would be that camera we're recording on.
What camera is that?
That's a FX30.
Oh, wow.
So that was one of them. I'm like, all right, if I get this, all right, I'm gonna have to.
Yeah. What type of lens you put on it?
Well, I actually don't know the lens. I actually just got the lens from out of like a little shop, a little used lens, but it's a 20 to 40 full frame.
Yeah.
And I do like that. At first, when I was doing another one of my podcasts that I'm helping with, that had a wide lens.
Yeah.
It was like for the ACP camera, it was like 11, something like that, ultra wide. So it did good, and I was able just to pull into the scenes and kind of like isolate it. But this is my first time officially recording on this lens. Minus some other little stuff I didn't play with in BS, but it definitely make a difference.
All right, next time I come, I got a Sarui, like an anamorphic lens. It's an E-mount, so it's for Sony cameras.
Yes,
I'll let you check it out. And of course, like you'll have to like de-squeeze the footage and stuff like that. But I'll let you try it out, man. I think you're like, it's like a cinema lens.
Yeah,
I got it, but I haven't used it. I haven't really used it that much.
I end up catching that one just randomly, but I was looking into the cinema lenses because we had kind of talked off air like we just said it here too, the type of vibe and thing we want our artwork to look like, and I was like, I got to get this lens, and I had copped the lens, but I didn't get it for the E-mount. Yeah, you probably clicking too fast. So when I think it was like for a Nokia. So as in my process of me sending it back, I was like, I might just get the lights. I might just get something else while I'm waiting for this to process. I can feel it. Then I never got it, but then I ended up coming across this one, and it's another little one I got too. And I was like, oh, okay, I can work this now because you understand the settings. Yeah, the settings is the key to a lot of the stuff. Yeah, and the crazy thing is like, as I'm starting to get like more ramped up with content, this is the only thing that I guess is kind of my difficulty now is getting more reach on social media, because they kind of like, being that they suppress your reach. I don't know if like
paying for advertisements, paying for ads, paying for boosts, if it has any type of real return on my investment. So trying to build like social capital at the same time.
I feel like in something like that, I feel like it would be a cap regardless.
Yeah.
I feel like regardless or not, it still have to be some type of organicness that come from it. And I feel like people that spend a lot of money on them ads, I think that's kind of like force feeding.
Yeah.
So I feel like it can work to a certain extent after like, okay, this my artwork.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put on a few more eyes because you can really control the demo wherever way you do. But I don't know. That's a good question. I learned with building my media page.
Yeah.
The reels and the videos and just the content.
Yeah.
It does not necessarily return it to followers.
Yeah.
But I do see the views and the consistent likes and a certain amount of group. So now my point is like you saying how to expand that even more.
And I got to ask myself, okay, what do I really want out of my content? Like what do I want in return? Like for me to make this, when I do get the views, the likes or whatever, is that enough? You know what I'm saying?
So what you want to convert that to?
That's why I built the products with like Nairi Skincare, with a couple of other things. Nairi Skincare, I have like maybe 3 or 4 other brands that I'm working on now. And I kind of want to launch everything. You'll see me in the next episode of Story for Story. I'll kind of just mention like the roadmap.
Okay.
For 2025. Because now I feel like
that's one of the questions I was going to ask you too.
Yeah. Oh, what's up?
No, well, finish that and then I can get to it.
So for the most part, like trying to tie all of these things together because I want clicks and traffic to a specific website. Yeah. And I want the products to be my selling point. So if I'm making content, regardless if it's AI content or I'm going out and I'm shooting, images, whatever it may be, I want that to return into the website and getting clicks and getting sales. You know what I mean?
Right.
Instead of just views and likes. You know what I mean? Because I can't turn that into $1 at the moment. You know what I mean?
I guess you just use it like what most people do with like a clothing brand or whatnot.
Exactly.
And kind of like build that emotional relationship with your product, where how you have to convey that to your crowd is something that probably would take some time trying to figure out.
It's this website called or service called Social Cat, and it allows you to kind of like lock in like UGC. So people who do like let's say like nano influencers. So now like with a lot of brands, they're trying to lock in with nano influencers, and what a nano influencer is, or like a small influencer where they have like maybe 1,000 to like 10,000 followers. So it's like you'll pretty much link up with them and let them know you'll create a campaign for your ads, and they'll they're on social media, so they just make content for you and they kind of promote your stuff. And the reason why nano influencers are so important now, because sometimes when a person has a smaller following, it's a more tailored following.
Yeah.
So somebody who got 1 million followers, but they can't sell anything.
Yeah.
Because they're not there for that. Let's say if you're the type of person where you might post a lot of like risky stuff. Let's say you're a gym guy or you're a lady in the gym, and you post a lot of stuff that's kind of like borderline, you know what I mean? And people come to your page because you look really great, but as soon as you try to sell something, you don't get any sales. So it might be somebody who has 1,000 followers, 10,000 followers, who they'll sell out every time they make a drop. So it's getting to those smaller influencers. They're starting to have more of an impact than bigger influencers.
Is that like the 2024 version of small markets? Cause kind of like obviously like let's say artists, like certain artists can do stadium, but most of them can probably do arena. There's a fair amount that can do arena, and then some down with the clubs. But it's like you'll have a big name like Jadakiss used to come do Richmond all the time, and then just be in there, whatever he's doing throughout the city and so on and so forth. And I feel like is that like what that is now? Like you promoting, like we know, like he can come to Richmond and know, I see these people all the time. I didn't hoot with these people. I know I got a bond with these and it's close, and they gonna promote and that promote with me just because who I am and it's an intimate relationship. It's kind of like that with a bigger platform.
Sometimes
a smaller platform. Excuse me.
Yeah, and sometimes it's just the kind of, I think you used the phrase a little bit earlier. It was organic. Yeah, you have an organic following. So you may have 1 million followers, but I'm sure you've seen. I'm sure you posted something and you look through your, you post a story and you look through your views and you see some random account, accounts that don't even exist. You know what I mean? Telling you to invest in this, invest in that. Or you might see ones that's trying to, hey, look at my webcam. I'm this and that. So it's like, it's kind of puffed out where it's not. You got 1 million followers, but you really you take a look at your likes.
Kind of bot culture.
Yeah, and you
thing.
get 230 likes on average, but you got 1 million followers.
And some that they might have like a reel or something, and people are like, I'm following them because they probably funny.
Exactly.
And then they just strictly there.
That's it.
Which it makes sense.
Yeah.
The question I was about to ask you, what do your first quarter look like at the beginning of the year? I know you was mentioning something just then, but what's your first quarter? Maybe the second also?
Honestly, my first quarter looks like, so of course I have Nairi Skincare. I was able to it's a couple of things I want to knock out for this last month where, so I have Nairi Skincare, La Galleria wise, with room sprays, candles and things like that. And then I have another brand called Ethos Life Essentials. So that's vitamins, supplements, and coffee. And then, so that's those 3 brands. And then I have Luso, which is a athleisure brand. So we have Luso, and then I think it's another one. I also wrote a book called Star Name Genetics.
Really?
Yeah. So with Star Name Genetics, it's kind of like I've always wanted to have this conversation where, being that, okay, I know you're a Gemini, right?
Correct.
I'm a Cancer. So it's more, and I think I sent you the book actually.
Yeah.
It's that one.
E-book.
So it's more so like, okay, your parents, you may have 2 air sign parents, but you're a water sign. And it's like how it's kind of like a theoretical play. It's just kind of like an exploration of you have 2 air sign parents, but you're a water sign. How does that genetically or from a zodiac perspective affect who you are as a water sign? So it's kind of like just exploring those theoretics and just those parental and child combinations and just having fun with it.
What got you into that?
So for the most part, it's always a conversation that I wanted to have because everybody talks about, I'm this sign, I'm that sign. But you also talk about how behaviors from your parents because of genetics. So you know how they say, oh, you act just like your dad, you act just like your mom. But let's talk about it from a zodiac perspective. You act like your dad and your mom, who are 2 different signs. Yeah. So it's like you're this combination of a person. And just exploring on the idea and theoretics of that. And I think, lastly, I'm creating a pet care solution called Aura, ORRA. And I've been creating the formula over the last couple of days. I got all of the ingredients and stuff like that in. And it's really a pet care solution where, being that I live in DC, I live in an apartment building. And especially on summers, rainy days, one of the first, sometimes you have other tenants or other neighbors and they have dogs and things like that. And so, as soon as you come down to the lobby, of course you got some of the lazy owners where the first thing you smell is pee. Or that's one of the first things you smell is as soon as you come down your steps or as soon as you walk on the street. And it's a kind of like it's an organic, plant safe, marine safe solution that you would have with your toolkit. Of course, like I feel like there's a spoken understanding where when you have a dog and I just say like do number 2, 9 times out of 10, everybody knows like you pick it up. Yeah. But if it's if they just urinate,
the moral,
of course,
right thing.
Yeah, you just look at it and be like, okay, they pee, I'm gonna just walk off. But this will be the solution for that. So hopefully that'll be one of my first quarter products.
I have lived in apartment complexes that actually I'll tell a story. When I was in Georgia. Yeah. They was wild in Georgia. Like, so, like you just said, like, you kind of get a common knowledge, like, all right, my dog poop here. Let me pick up the poop. It is wild. Yeah. Nobody cared about that. Yeah. So, one day we just get this random email from the management, and they was pretty much, like, the most professional way of just, like, I'm gonna show you. Yeah. like, they basically was like, if it doesn't change, which I don't assume it did change, if it doesn't change about how people clean up, they gonna start making people submit DNA samples of their dog. So when they go, I guess, so when they scoop the poop up, they're gonna send it off, and whoever dog it is, they were gonna find their ass or something like that.
Wouldn't that be more expensive than just
theoretically? I feel like
that sounds like a really like expensive endeavor.
That was the intern type. Yeah,
and that's what I just because I've been doing a lot of research, man, and just looking into different industries that are popular. They say that, of course, the pet care industry is like a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Yeah, makes sense.
So having a product where you can kind of just step into the industry and see see what you can do. And it's just a one flagship product. It's not like I have a whole fleet of products coming behind it. So I just got the logo locked down, just got the all of the labeling and stuff like that, and how much it'll cost for like all the unit costs for the bottles and all the materials. Because with Le Galleria, I was selling room sprays and candles, so I understand how to make things by hand and how to handcraft everything. So it's like that's just the fun part of just being able to put it together, and then kind of going back to kind of getting the sales and getting the website. It's just a one pager, and I feel like I'm all over the place first quarter, honestly.
I'm glad you said that because lately I feel like I've been having this conversation a lot with people, and it's normally somebody feeling like they don't have enough time, or that they feel like they don't want to waste any time.
Yeah.
And just, the normal thing, natural things that you and I both and everybody after a certain point go through. And I've been trying to explain to them, obviously now I'm on a different perspective of that, and I have a little more time into the growth of myself and whatnot.
Yeah.
I'll be trying to explain to people that it is okay to do a million things.
Of course.
It is okay not to have a set goal to something. Like if you're not a person that probably, let's say, like NBA players, that's something that obviously basketball has been kind of affiliated with our life. You're not, by high school at latest.
Yeah.
If you potentially can go to the NBA.
Yeah.
And I know it's a little different now with like the AAU circuit compared to when we was coming up. AAU was just kind of, at least
growth spurts,
grow
all
and
type
so
of
on and
stuff.
so forth. But like, I have seen kids now with me coaching that's 8 years old that you can be like, I ain't gonna be surprised.
Yeah.
If I just 20, 36, I just feel like, okay, cool, that makes sense. So I feel like that's not everybody's mission. That's not everybody's goal. Not everybody has that or even want that type of opportunity. Yeah. So it is okay because like you saying like, okay, well, you did this and now you did the candles or the fragrances and now you're doing the pet and how all of that is just kind of
it'll tie in at a random moment.
At the end of the day.
Yeah, all the pieces will connect like at a random moment. It's funny because in high school, like my graduating year, I had a teacher and she kind of figured this out about me. And she was like, I don't want to name drop, but her name was Miss Johnson, one of the science teachers. And she told me that I was a jack of all trades. And she was like, a jack of all trades is a master of none. And it stuck with me for a while because I had the type of mentality where I like to do so many different things, you know what I mean? Until I find what I like. Or sometimes I might be in a phase where I like one thing, then I go somewhere else. And, just I like switching things up. But it's interesting now because the way I see it in life now, the way how quickly things are advancing, you have to be a jack of all trades. And just by the way, I would say Western society is set up, you have to be a jack of all trades because just for you to even get that piece of paper that says masters, you have to be a jack of all trades because you have so many subjects that you have to learn. Every semester you have, let's say back when we was in high school, they kind of set it up that way where you got all of these different subjects that you have to master just to pass, just to get that piece of paper, just to get that diploma. So I think one of the interesting things about me in particular is that I dropped out of college, right? Dropped out of college. So that, I like to think that with a lot of people, when they went to college burns a lot of people out. They get that master's or they get their degree in whatever respect, and they start working, and that drive that they had to achieve things had fizzled out by the time they got that degree. So now they kind of like plateau as far as efficiency. You know what I mean? And I felt like I held mine off. Being that I dropped out, that drive that you have to do all of that multitasking to achieve something, I felt like I just reserved it. So now at my age now, it's like I have that same ambition, and it didn't fizzle out or I didn't burn out in college. So I can just kind of apply that to so many different things now and just tethering so many different things together. You know what I mean?
That's a different perspective because obviously we had very similar paths and very similar ideologies with that. How I looked at it, it was more later on because obviously I had a little side mission in life going on. When I finished that and I look back, I'm like, okay, well now I'm like 20. It's probably like 25 when I look back. Yeah, I will have some friends or peers that I was compared to when I was younger, and they might have these degrees or they might have something, but it seems as though they was stuck. Yeah. And then as I got out and I started like reconnecting with a lot of these people and listen, I'm like, well, it really. And it is a couple of them that, okay, you took that degree and you ran with it. Yeah. But a lot of times people are still at the same point and you all figuring it out. And now that I'm back in school, because I ain't gonna say I dropped out. I just paused it a few times. 3 times I was in school, but it was never anything that it caught my attention or nothing I want to do because I didn't even like school when I was in high school. So, you know, at a point of time, it was like you kind of had to go to college, or at least seems like you're going to college trying to keep everybody on at home off your back. Yeah. And then now that I'm in school, this is a completely different. I'm in school now because I want to learn something that I was already doing. Yeah. And it's like had the technical names or had the book knowledge for something that I just been learning from experience anyway. Yeah. But I don't feel like I guess our generation definitely is a good example of that. But if you go to college, you gotta make sure you go for like, I know it's kind of cheesy because everybody said to go for something that you want to go, because there's some people that go to college, or at least we seen that people that go to college that I'm only going because that's what I was told the next thing to do. Yeah. And those would be the one that seem like they fizzled out, or even like the doctors, like you were saying, you just did 12 years off the bat. Yeah. I'm not going to want to do nothing. Yeah. That seriously. Yeah. By the time I'm 34, 35, I just did 12 years of school. No. Yeah.
And it's, I went to school for business. Mm-hmm. That's what I wanted to do. And of course, I wanted to go to college because, I was kind of wild in high school, and I pulled it off. And I pulled off being able to, graduate on time and things like that. And I wanted to go to school to make my folks proud, which it did. But then it became just a regular behavior where nobody really it wasn't as important anymore. It's like, oh, you going to class? Okay, all right, see you later. And I'm like, I did this for their excitement. So once all the excitement kind of went out of, or the honeymoon phase, I'm in college.
Started getting stressful.
Yeah, and I did it in an interesting way. I took all of my easy classes first, and then as I progressed through the semesters, around about my second year, I had the most difficult. I did it like
it wasn't no breaks.
Yeah, it was no breaks. Like chemistry, biology, and I remember having this chemistry teacher, man, and he worked for VCU. Mm-hmm. So being that I was going to J. Sarge, he didn't take it seriously. He didn't really care. He was like he just wanted to make the money, and he would always say like, what I make here is peanuts to what I make at VCU. And we like, why do I care about any of that?
I had a fourth grade teacher was like that.
Yeah, and he would do this was like I think, what was it? This was like that 8:30 class, that 8 o'clock class. So it would be like a 3-hour lecture just in the class. And he would go so quickly because he would cater to the medical students. So the medical students would be there with their scrubs on and stuff like that. So they're understanding the thermal, man, it was just these terms and so many different things. Like,
you got to learn a lesson while you're trying to learn a lesson.
Yeah, and I'm a business major, so I'm like, at the time I wanted to be a food technologist, where you would pretty much responsible for like making all the food, flavorings, aromas, things like that. I thought it was really cool, but I was going into the wrong direction. And I picked up a camera. I think I got, because I was getting like a Pell Grant. Mm-hmm. So at the end of the semester, you were able to sell your books back. And this semester, thankfully, I was able to sell all my books back, because you can't always sell them because they'll go to the new version. Yeah. And they're like, oh, yeah, just a new edition. We ain't going to take it.
I just went through everything to get this version.
Yeah, why did y'all sell me this knowing y'all had a new one coming out?
You could have just get the drop a new little pre-order.
The digital or something.
The digital or some shit. Yeah.
But so he would never let us go to the lab. He wouldn't let us go to the lab. So I couldn't learn with my hands. I guess they call it kinesthetic, where you have to learn with your hands. Mm. So it's like I wasn't able to learn with my hands. So it was just me listening to him just give a 3-hour lecture, which burnt me out. And once I got my Pell Grant, I think that semester I bought a camera, and that's when I started doing photography. Started making money from it. Of course, I had my my first little job at the time. So I started making money, and I felt like, man, I don't really want to do school anymore. I felt like I'm learning so much hands-on in life that I just feel like I could take a better route. I felt like I felt like at that time I knew what was better for myself. Yeah. And I did. And looking back now, I'm happy that I did it, but I wish I would have kind of did it in a different way. I would have just went into IT, man. I'm gonna be honest with you. I would have just went to ECPI, got whatever certification, and went straight into IT.
At that point in time, that was the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah, not even knowing. I'd have all of the credentials of a senior level. Yeah. Because, you see, let's say you apply now and they say, yeah, we need you 17 years of this, 10 years of this. I'm like,
I've been out of school 12 years.
Yeah. I would have been 7 when I started, but that's just it though. And just kind of, I feel like everybody, you get to find yourself, and kind of to circle back to, doing multiple things at once. I felt like it kind of, I don't know. I kind of transcended from just doing like little small things to now I can own my own like individual brands, and the brands are an extension of my creativity.
Yeah.
Because with your brand, especially with Anomaly, you're the creative director. Mm-hmm. You get to do whatever you want. You get to choose the aesthetic. You could change your aesthetic every single year.
And I love that about that.
You know what I'm saying?
I love it.
Yeah. So you get to be in control of your own direction, you know?
I think my biggest wake up to this, not really wake up this, it was obviously the military, because that give you a different of somebody telling you what to do. That give you a whole nother perspective of somebody telling you what to do. And then, but before that, it was like, I could probably say because of granny generation, the hard working generation, I just knew, hey, as long as I pay my bills, I'm up.
That's it.
So like school wasn't really that big of a deal. Like it was what it was.
Yeah.
And then I just used to work. I didn't mind working. It just I was at McDonald's at the time, like 7.25, making 7.25, pushing 60 hours.
Yeah.
Easy. I'm getting a band. I'm getting a band every 2 weeks.
Yeah, feeling like that was like,
at 18 years old, like
feeling like that was up. Yeah,
the man. And then like I always kept a good job and always kept stuff. So like working was the easy part. But then when I got out the service, and you get out here and you obviously you don't get fired out of the military. Like you can get reprimanded. You got to really do something to get fired out the military. Yeah, lamest terms. Mm-hmm. So when they're getting into a job after, it's like, just leave me alone. Yeah. And the hardest thing about it is that's not how a normal job will go. Yeah. So it's like if I'm not bothering you and I'm getting my work done, why are you talking to me? Yeah. And then they'll come up and just be like, oh, I need you to, you ain't do this. And like, I quit. Leave me alone. I don't need this.
Man, quitting jobs is like, when I quit, the first time I quit a job, man, it was like, it was an interesting situation because it's a little bit of anxiety. Mm-hmm. It's a little bit of anxiety, especially when you're quitting a job.
The first one, like the first couple, absolutely.
Yeah, because you're like, can I do this? And then you're like, hold on. This is voluntary. Every job is voluntary. I completely volunteer to come here every single day. And at any point in time, I could be like, you know what? I'm out of here.
And that's what the military didn't have.
Yeah.
No matter what
you got to catch a flight. Who's going to pay for your flight, huh? You got to catch flights. You got to go all the way across the country.
No matter what these people say, no matter where you go, no matter what you do, you got a ETS date. Yeah. That is when your job is done. Gotcha. So anything in between that time period, you just is what it is. So it's just a whole bunch of people just kind of just go, oh, we got to do what?
Yeah.
All right, that's cool. Like, but as soon as I got out, like, stop talking to me. Get out of here. Yeah. Like, you do it. Like,
I can feel it. It's like a certain part of a like liberation, I would say.
Yeah.
Because when the first job that I ever quit, I don't want to say, well, when in 2019, with COVID and all that stuff, I got furloughed. And of course I took the 6-month vacation. I took the unemployment.
As you should.
And for that 6 months, man, it was such a
eye opener.
Yeah, because I started realizing like, damn, your job really gives you your identity sometimes. Without if you don't have a business or you don't have a job, and even if you're getting money, I guess they're paying you, you don't have an identity. So it's like, because of course people like to ask you, oh, what do you do? Because people use that as a way to identify you. You know what I'm saying? But for that 6 months, I enjoyed it because it was a break that I needed. You know what I mean? Just like everybody else. But when I came back, one of the first places that didn't have a hiring freeze, of course, was Amazon. So I was like, let me just see what it's about. And I had somebody that was it was pretty much it was a walk-in. I could just walk in and get it. They was like, hey bro, just let me know and I'll get you locked in with Amazon. And went there and I worked at Amazon for like maybe a month and a half. It was cool. It was cool for a second. I was in like Midlothian and Powhatan, right when when Trump was about to get. I think this may have been when he lost Biden. I'm not sure. It was 2020. Yeah.
20, yeah. COVID was 2020 basically.
It was right at peak season of like right before the election, and it was like seeing so much people repping for their Trump set and doing all that, and being out there was interesting because it was in like the counties, so. It was houses that was like so far, like they had like acres of land and things like that. But as you progress into the fall, it started getting dark early. So it started getting dark early and I had to, it's dark by like 3:00 and you still got like 70 something packages left, and I would get to these houses and some houses aren't set up for modern day delivery. Right. And with Amazon, you can't deliver at the mailbox. You can't put stuff in people's mailbox.
Oh no.
You gotta. I guess it's a crime if you do it. So you have to go to the residence. And one night, man, I got to these people's house. I didn't want to pull in because it had rained that day and it was dark and they had gravel. And with those trucks, if they have a thin, I would say roadway leading up to their house, because some people had like a quarter-mile driveway. You know what I'm saying? And like they can see you from afar coming up. And if your tires hit the grass, wet grass, you're stuck. Or you're gonna ruin somebody's yard trying to pull out of the grass. So I had to get out. I chose not to drive all the way in. So I got out and it was like the moon. It was like the moonlight was just beaming down on me. I heard a dog howl.
As a suspenseful tone started coming through the background.
It was the beginning of Texas Chainsaw Massacre in my head. You know what I mean? I was like, you know what? Nah, I can't do this. I can't do this no more.
So I took having a whole epiphany. Like,
So what you could do, you could take that. You could get a bag. They'll give you bags, like trash bags almost, and you can put their stuff in there and you could tie it up. And then I just put it like by the mailbox. I didn't put it in the mailbox. And I just completed it, and I was like, I'm gonna finish this out. I'm gonna finish this day out, but after this, I'm done. And then me thinking that I'm done, I could just finish. You have to do rescue routes. Rescue routes are it's like a slap in the face, because you'll have 200 stops. You'll knock out your 200 stops, and then you'll have like an hour and a half left, because you running up driveways, you making things happen, you doing all this, and then you got to go. You'll finish and let them know you finished, and they'll be like, hey, can you meet someone else at this address? And you'll look in their truck, and they'll have like 60 packages. And you'd be like, what the hell have you been doing all day? You know what I'm saying? So they'd be like, oh yeah, you got to take half. So you got to take 30 of their packages.
And that's a whole nother route, probably.
That's a whole nother route, man.
That you're not familiar with.
Yeah, that you're not familiar with. It's in the same area, but still though. So now you at work 3 hours late. It was crazy, man. So that was the first time I quit. And then we'll get into the second one.
I worked at Amazon. I worked in the warehouse. I don't even know how long ago this was.
Yeah.
But I was there a strong 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. And like the job was so, you go into the warehouse and I think you work like 3 days, even 3 days a week, maybe, I think it's like a 12, 13, 14 hour shift. Yeah. I know you was overnight for, at least I had overnight. You walk into this building and that's it.
Yeah.
You ain't seeing nothing no time soon. And then it was called, I think it was called like a picker or something like that.
Yeah.
And they give you like this grocery cart type of thing. Mm-hmm. And what I'm assuming is I'm picking up items for somebody else to box in and people orders or whatnot. Mm-hmm. Bro, that warehouse, when in orientation, they was like, oh, you can easily walk 17 miles a shift.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't believe that. So obviously I ain't never walked 17 miles at that age. I'm like, I doubt it. After like my first week, I'm like, you absolutely walking 17 plus miles. No communicate. You can't even talk to nobody.
Nope.
You just like, and it's just a bunch of cameras. You're going down these roads and whatnot.
They got the lanes drawn out for you. You can't even walk in this lane.
I got one of them checks. I'm like, oh, wow, we out.
I'm going to holler.
It got paid weekly, so I got to I had to stay to make sure I get my first jank.
Nah, I know the feeling, man. Amazon was a beast. Like for you to really lock in for like, I've been here 5 years. Whoa.
You a different breed.
You a different. This has to be either it's all you love or all you got.
Give a seminar. When I was at UPS for a little bit, the driver there, he was ex-Air Force. Mm-hmm. And so I didn't understand to retire in the service, what that actually comes with.
Yeah.
So me, I'm just like, okay, cool. Didn't think nothing about it. So he retired fairly young, obviously.
Yeah. And
now he's working full time at UPS. This man was making so much money. We would be at the shift. I think I had to meet him at like 6:30. If he didn't, normally he didn't make me meet him, but the first couple of times, maybe like 6:30, 7:30 at the beginning of his shift. He might not go home until like 11 o'clock that night, smile on his face this whole time. He's like, bro, I get holiday pay, double pay. I get, at a certain point, it ain't taxed the same. I get all this money, and all I'm out to do is delivering the packages. I'm like, if you found your bubble, you found your bubble.
And that's the thing, though. Like, working in delivering packages, it's just to anybody, if you ever think about working for Amazon. If, like, you'll think that, oh, you get because it's like a difference. Like you get the big truck, like it's like a really, really big truck, and then you get the regular ones that you see. You know what I'm saying? And I guess it's one thing you'll think it's a flex, like, oh, they're getting paid more money because they're driving a bigger truck. But they're looking at their route sheet. It's a different beast, man. But I'll say this, working in the summer, even though it's hot, it wasn't a problem because like you'll get to certain cul-de-sacs and it's some of the most beautiful homes that I've ever seen. You know what I mean? So it was inspirational at the same time because I didn't know that Midlothian and Powhatan had beautiful homes like that. But I did. It was one thing that I said. I probably won't touch too much into it, but I got to see like I saw some homes that you see people living out in those counties, and you just like, yo, they not doing that well, and like I don't know. It was interesting. It was like seeing homes that was almost like dilapidated, like almost run down, but it's people still living in them. So you get to really see how people live. And like some people have a certain way of life, so they move all the way in the county where they don't even interact with people like that. It's interesting.
Well, you kind of started. You talk about not to get into politics or whatnot, but kind of like the people being in the South. Well, traveling and talking to a lot of different people from different places and whatnot. Racism is different depending on the region you are. Yeah, which I don't think too many people that was born in the South like us, we experienced things that some of my friends that were born Maryland up would never see. And then it's kind of like you can meet somebody in, let's say, Wyoming or North Dakota. Yeah. Very small black population. Yeah. They're not necessarily racist as in the far as I hate you because you're black or you're a minority. It's like I ain't never seen you before. Yeah. And I only heard rumors. Yeah. And then you go into the South and it's kind of like, all right, yeah. I understand what your dinner time when you was a young child.
Yeah, exactly. I understand. And sometimes I think like being in DC, it's like sometimes you don't know if people are racist or they just rude. Yeah. The further you go up north.
It is a difference. Yeah. It is definitely a difference.
And like the further you go up north, like going to DC and coming from Virginia, people don't say like, excuse me. Like you can bump into a person and they fall smack on the floor and they'll just get up and keep it pushing. You'd be like, my bad, but they don't, it's no shake off, oh, I'm so sorry. None of that. Everybody's just trying to get to where they got to go.
We catch some of that in Virginia, the Southern hospitality. Yeah. But like when I was in North Carolina and Georgia for a couple of years, and then I came back and I just like, instantly, like you down there, it's literally everybody speak. Yeah. You can have the meanest look on your face, like, how you doing? They be like, hey, what's going on? Or whatever it may be. I got up here and I just see somebody just like, just naturally because this has been my muscle memory. Yeah. It took me about 3 times. I'm like, man, fuck all y'all.
Yeah, exactly. And that's how I feel in DC sometimes because you just like, because everybody trying to just get to where they going. Yeah. Or they really just don't even care. They've checked out mentally. You could bump into people and sometimes you got to be like, it hardens you in a way where you don't like, you're no longer polite in these areas. Mm-hmm. You'll bump into somebody and you won't even think to say, excuse me. Like you see, you was in my way. You see where I'm trying to go.
A different type of survival.
Yeah, that's it. It's a different type of survival, man.
But definitely, my daughter is in Columbus and driving through West Virginia, which one of them drives, my most recent drive, I was thinking, I'm like, all right, all I know is their population of our complexion folks is extremely low. Yeah. Like single digits, low, double to single. So then I'm thinking about it, I'm like, well, they didn't really have slaves though, because that's the mining, that's the mountains. So
I don't even know.
But then I was trying to picture where I was driving because it is definitely a long drive. Yeah. I'm just like, I don't even, because Virginia was split. Yeah. And there's so many different environments in Virginia. And then, if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong. Yeah, they when they drove the borders, West Virginia won't really with the whole argument. So I'm like, it might not even ever been.
Yeah. See, I'll be honest with you. West Virginia is a very interesting place for a lot of different reasons.
They can legally have kangaroos too.
Yeah, and like from a geographic perspective, the Appalachian Mountains. They even have rules where I think it's like because like of course they like have their outdoorsy stuff and they like walking in the woods and mountains and stuff like that. But they have like these rules where it's like if you hear something, you didn't. If you saw something, you didn't.
What?
they have things out in their woods that I don't know. It's one of the eeriest places in the world. In the Appalachian Mountains, I think when they had like I'll have to fact check this. Maybe somebody could fact check this, but I think the Appalachian Mountains is one of the oldest regions on the planet, or something like that. Where when things broke apart, I guess when the
shelves,
what is it, Pangea? When everything broke apart.
Do you know about Pangea?
Yeah, but it has some of the like oldest like Man, I have to double back to it, but it's just a really interesting place from a geographic perspective, where it's just really spooky and really eerie. So I never wanted to go to West Virginia, and plus with like the hills have eyes type energy. I think it was wrong turn.
I was telling my shawty about the hills have eyes one day. I'm like, this giving, like I've seen this before.
Yeah, and it was just like, man, I'm good. And of course, people were like, oh yeah, you can go up there, you can go skiing, you can do this. I'm like, I'll just go to Mass or nothing. I'll go wherever, but I'm not going to West Virginia. It's just not. It's not mine. And big shout out to people from West Virginia. You know what I'm saying? But they just have so much. It's so much negative like press. I say it like that.
Right, and it's probably not even like their fault.
It's not.
It's probably just like, leave me alone. Yeah. I don't want to talk to y'all.
Jail people. You'll never know somebody from West Virginia. I don't know a West Virginia accent.
I was one of the old Rangers up here. They closed down now, so I ain't gonna say their name. Yeah. But one of the old Rangers around here, it was this dude, and he was from West Virginia. And he grew up, I think he was from West Virginia, or his mom, he was raised in South Carolina, whatever that. But he was half West Virginian. Yeah. And he was cool as hell. Yeah. But then they're just like, all right, I wonder how long you been in this part of Virginia.
I don't know. But like for the most part, like when you had to drive how is it in like Ohio? Because I hear a lot of things about Ohio.
So I can say just like Virginia, you got your places. Yeah. We went to a wedding in Cincinnati. And that was a different experience than it was in Columbus. Okay. Quick story, like when we was at the hotel, and I'm like, all right, it was probably like 1, 2 o'clock. Maybe I'm about to go to sleep. I went downstairs, rolled up something. Yeah. Go downstairs, just outside smoking, minding my business. And as I was going to walk through the front of the building, it was this lady, extremely drunk, right? And there was a group of her friends outside, also extremely drunk. Yeah. And when I bent the corner, I felt like we made eye contact, and I turned back around. Yeah. And then I went out the back of the building. Yeah. So now I'm in the back of the building. And, well, hold on, sidebar, to kind of give a little more context with this. We just happened to have a higher floor elevator. Yeah. And the interaction with certain people as we all in the elevator and we clicking the top floor. Yeah. And they're not. Yeah. It was always not necessarily a rude comment or nothing like that, but
you felt it.
You felt it, right?
I feel that sometimes when I go to the Carolinas, like certain parts of the Carolinas.
Yeah.
Because I got a grandfather, like we moved him from like Georgetown. And like whenever we would go to like Georgetown, I wouldn't see, maybe that's where, I don't know a lot about South Carolina, but maybe in Georgetown, that's where a lot of like the old folks are. So I'd never see people my age. Every time we would go, I would never see
like an older community, retirement community type thing.
And growing up, that was so weird. I'm like, why I don't see no kids? Like, where all the young people at? But they would have like, I don't know, it was this one instance where my sister, she just got like this new car. It was like a Nissan, like a Nissan Rogue or something like that. Well, it might have been my mother. I forgot which one. But it was like brand new, whatever year that was. And like it was a white couple and they had the same car. And they was looking like, how y'all get this? Yeah. Like you could feel it. Like I'm like, well, it's just a Nissan Rogue. It's not that
it's not
deep,
even that crazy. I'm out here with a Bentley truck.
Yeah, exactly. But it's just like little stuff like that.
You can feel it. Yeah. So so that few times throughout the couple of days we was there, and then now at this point I'm downstairs, so on and so forth. Now I'm going to the back of the building. I'm like, all right, I'm just on my phone, vibing, smoking or whatnot. Yeah. And a police officer drove past, and he went all the way past me. Now I understand. I had a hood on. Not saying it's right, but you kind of understand the environment.
I had those thoughts too. Like maybe I'm looking sketchy.
Yeah, so like I'm in the back of the alley. I am between two cars, but I am looking down on my phone, and you can tell he stopped. He went. He backed up, and I had my AirPod in, but I didn't have nothing playing. Yeah, and then he was like, "Oh, you just out here for a smoke break? You just out for a smoke break?" So I hit him with I looked up like, "Huh?" I kind of like lean, like I take the headphone down, and you can smoke in Columbus, but I don't know all the rules. Yeah. So I just took it and I kind of like put it down, like I was smoking the cig. He was like, "Oh, you just smoking?" I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "Oh, okay, cool." Yeah. And I was like, "All right." And then he drove off, and I'm like,
That would have been the suspenseful part of any movie.
Yeah,
you know
it's
what I'm
like
saying?
the light flickering and shit. I'm just like, cool. So I nicely went in the crib. I nicely put this out. Went upstairs. I'm like, yeah. So that's Cincinnati was definitely, but Columbus, it's cool.
Okay.
It's definitely a decent vibe, and my daughter like it up there.
Yeah.
She's definitely becoming a what is it? The Ohio State Buckeye.
Yeah.
Every time we see it, like, oh, we got the Buckeyes.
Oh, that's cool.
So
that's
yeah,
good.
I wish I could have did it this year, but next year I'm definitely gonna go up there and take her to one of them games.
Yeah.
And let her vibe because she definitely that. But I got to trying to convert her to an Eagles fan, but I don't have as much influence from the distance.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But I'm gonna get them there.
And that's something that I'm thinking about. I wouldn't say battling with, but it's just something that I'm thinking about. Being that I stay in DC, my lady from Maryland, and of course we live in DC, so we got with my son. It's just like we're closer to her folks than my folks. I mean, you know, my folks, we ain't number 2 hours. Like they ain't number 2 hours down the street.
But 2 hours and 30 minutes is still.
And I'm like, man, I want to relocate. I want to move from DC. I want to come back to Virginia, and just I don't know. I really like my life here, or I really just like live. You know, I mean, I guess I'm biased. I say it like that, but trying to figure out what are we gonna do with that.
How would she feel about coming down here?
She wants to, but then of course the argument is she's gonna be away from her family.
I mean, y'all gonna go. It's gonna be not like y'all gonna be here forever.
Yeah, and then, that's what I'm thinking.
And then if y'all been at DC and it has been a blessing that y'all was closer to her people and too distant, it just flipping the roles.
Yeah, that's it. And I'm starting to think like maybe I could just have where my family is like, all right, so you know how you have your regular family, like your aunts that you see all the time, you know what I mean? And then you got your family that you have to go and see, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like a deeper level to your family. Because you see your cousin right there, like, you know, what's up?
That was good,
Yeah. Or you might wake up in the morning, don't say nothing to them. I see you every day. So it's not even like seeing you is special. So maybe the fact that my family is a little bit further away, seeing them as he grows up would be more special. So
yeah, and then also you are in a good situation that you and your lady are together.
Yeah.
You also have the ability to just take that time and do it yourself. Like, because obviously, I don't believe in happy wife, happy life, but I also believe in protecting your peace.
Yeah, for sure.
So you understand that sometimes, a lot of the times, most of the time, it's going to be a happy wife, happy life type situation.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But then at that point, you could be like, oh, I could just go down to Richmond this weekend.
Yeah,
or I could just vibe. Because you do have that 2 hours. And that's okay.
Yeah.
And then if y'all get to the point, let's say, meet in the middle, like maybe Fredericksburg.
Yeah.
Or maybe you come all the way down and maybe you go back to, I wouldn't recommend back and show up on it.
Yeah,
you know.
I know what you mean.
But come back and then you could keep making the drive. But then there's other places in this other county here that I'm looking at because my next move is probably gonna be back to Georgia.
I can do
and then or something like that. But if not, even if I'm looking here, I'm like, okay, well, if I do stay here, what are the areas around?
Yeah.
You the adult now, so
Yeah.
even if you control that and let's say, oh, we move here or we kind of meet or we just do this for 2 years and so on and so forth, it is always can be a easy compromise.
Exactly. I might do Alexandria. Alexandria is still the DMV feel because now that I know the DMV is different than just being in Virginia.
What part of Maryland? Is it like a bigger city?
Like by Laurel.
So with that like a compared to some here in Virginia?
Laurel is like
Emporia.
Laurel's.
Like I might have wild out with Emporia.
It's like Henrico.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's not too far off.
Yeah, it's not. It's like in the county where they got you got the malls and the shopping centers and stuff like that. It's like that.
So is it? So do she like the city atmosphere like that? Because DC is not one of them.
Yeah, I honestly, it's certain parts of DC that I just absolutely love. You fall in love with DC randomly, and like just like for the backstory of me going to DC, it was like when I was here, I felt like I was just stuck, man. I felt like I was stuck trying to get back because I felt like from a career perspective, I lost so much when I got furloughed, and that's when I had to start detaching from my career and my life. And my my life outside of my career, because it's just like once I lost that job, I felt like I lost something, you know what I mean? Because it was a good job. I was working
your
my way up and
identity,
stuff
like you were saying earlier.
Yeah. But like going to DC, I had a friend who was working as a concierge, and she kept telling me, she's like, "Yo, just come up." And I was like, "All right," I would just keep saying, "Okay, yeah, I'll come up." And when I finally got there, man, she put me on to that city, a concierge would just, being that they know everything in the city, she just did it beautifully.
Yeah.
And like the way she set it up and everything that she showed me. And you start getting a couple drinks on a rooftop in the summer, you know what I mean? In any city, you start feeling like, man, I can
do this. I can wake up on and do this every day.
And it's funny how it happened because, you know, I came up like maybe once or twice after that. So I came up about 3 times. So I got I was on a type of, I guess you can call it a reconnaissance trip, where when I was staying in a hotel, I would go like 5 or 6 blocks in each direction, north, south, east, and west, and kind of build a perimeter. So I understand, okay, this particular part. So of course I took a liking to Northwest.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have, of course she lived in DC, but it wasn't like I had a whole lot of friends in DC who could put me on to all the, like all the authentic spots. So all I got was like the mainstream.
The DoorDash list.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? So they didn't break things. I didn't have anybody to break things down for me. So I ended up staying in Northwest. And like where the area that I stay in, it's a pretty chill area, so it's a pretty safe area. But how I guess started living in DC was I had a quota. It happened by chance. I had a quota of submitting applications because at first you just need the job. You can move anywhere. You just need a job first, or you need a little bit of money to the side. So I had I was able to I had a quota where I was supposed to do 10 applications a week, and I only did like 8. And it was like on a Sunday. And I was like, oh, snap, I got to do these other 2 applications. So I did them, and it was for a pharmacy, working logistics as a logistics manager for a pharmacy. And I just did 2 random applications. I didn't even think I was going to get the job. And they hit me up that Monday. I had like 3, on that Monday, I had like 3 different, what do you call it?
The welcome letter, but the hey
interviews.
Yeah,
I had 3 interviews that day.
Can we schedule a time for a Zoom?
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, I had no plan. I had no plan at all. They was like, well, can you? Like, we see that you live in Richmond, but could you make it here every day? I was like, yeah, because
easy.
Why wouldn't I? And I just hopped in the Amtrak for like a week, and I have a cousin. He's my cousin, but he's more so like my uncle. Just based off age alone, you know what I'm saying? And he let me stay. He let me stay with him for like a month. And it's funny because he gets mad with me now. He's like, yo, I ain't seen you since you moved. You know what I mean?
I had to put you on.
Yeah, you know, and I feel bad about that. I really, really do, because he without him, I don't know how I would have did it.
Right.
And I still tell him, like, you know, I'll come through and see him and stuff like that. But my biggest thing is like when I stay with him, and I tell him this, and he don't even care about this part. But I was just like, yo, when I told you I wanted to stay for like a month, having the power to tell somebody, like, let's say if you do have to stay with somebody because you need their help or whatever, and saying you're going to stay for a month and a half and only staying for a month and a half is a flex. You know what I'm saying? Because some of you know, I need another 2 months. I need another 3 months.
And most of the time, that's because how life works.
Yeah, that's how life works. Or like they really didn't have a plan for real, but I had a plan for real. You know what I mean? And I felt like, you know, he liked me staying there because, of course,
company probably.
Yeah, company, and like he had his guns, I had mine. So he it's like for him it's like more so like a sense of security. Yeah, I got somebody else.
He probably slept good as hell.
You know what I'm saying? So he knocked out. Like, yeah, and I told him, I was like,
I ain't took a nap since.
Yeah, I hear a bump in the night. I promise you, you ain't got to worry about nothing. But you know, just kind of laughing at that part. But it was nice, man. It was nice just having that, and then hopping on the metros and stuff like that. I almost got my car stolen. I don't even know how, but it's kind of my fault because I would leave my doors open, me thinking like, oh, ain't nobody gonna steal my car.
Right.
Man, I came back to my car after work. They like somehow they pushed in. See, you know how when you have like a Dodge, you have to use the fob. There's no key you can, so you got to use. It's like a particular type of fob. Man, I came in and like all of my stuff was trashed around in my car. They took like random stuff, man. Like at the time, I think they took like condoms. They took cologne. I'm like, yo, y'all could have left that.
I'd have had somebody come in my car, pause, and then take straight the change out the cup. They touch nothing valuable. All my debit cards, ID. I got a trunk full of military gear. Yeah. They come in and like, I just need this 50 cent real
that's
quick.
It. I need to get cross town. I
respect it.
Yeah, I respect it.
I should have locked my door.
But yeah, it was cool, man. Like having that transition to that, you know, to living in DC and stuff like that. It was nice. But now I kind of feel like I kind of got that out of my system. Yeah. Because I was either going to go 2 places. It was either DC or Charlotte.
So I think because when I left, I went to, if I had to compare it, I might be ODing, but kind of like the Emporia, Sussex area with a military installation. Yeah. So like the population there might have been 25,000. Yeah. That. I feel like that was on the high end. Yeah. And then nothing else but soldiers. So going from Richmond, and then this is like 16. So, it was a different point of time in the city. Way different than it is now. It's kind of like it was a complete halt.
Yeah.
And then I end up enjoying that. Like, I don't know. Like, I can't, like, even now with this is a cool spot right here.
Yeah.
I don't think it's like when I was up at Granny Crib, that just all the noise that just come from being there, which is something I heard my whole entire life.
Yeah.
It's just because I was in here in silence.
Yeah.
And even when I was in North Carolina, I was ducked off. So it's just kind of like, oh, this is too loud. I gotta go. And more I'm like, all right, the apartment cool. We were looking for houses and whatnot. And I'm like, nah, I might just find me like a random acre or two and put my house in the middle. Chill. And then just like make sure nothing.
There's a certain type of I guess some people say it's like a spiritual feel, because when you live around it, they say when you live around a whole bunch of people, it's so many different energies and frequencies.
Yeah.
But when you stay on land and it's yours, you feel it's like a completely different energy and frequency. You know what I'm saying?
I do agree.
And I have relatives. One of my uncles, he lives out in South Carolina, and he has this really big house. Like he's like somebody that progressed in the military, and I always have like relatives where they went in the military, and then I guess they went private, where you don't know what they do.
Hey,
they leave the house and they come back. You don't know what they.
Quick sidebar. Yeah. If my wonderful daughter wasn't created, I would be in the mountains of Japan.
Word.
Probably be a samurai or something. I had no intentions. My whole goal in life was to never come back. Like I want to be the dude that like, he got a postcard.
Yeah. You off the grid.
Yeah.
And I could live like that. I could live like that. And it's funny because just seeing that, and whenever I go to his house, it's just like such a relaxing place, man. It's so relaxing.
You can feel the peace. Like this is organic peace here. Like this man protects this.
And the only thing about it is like, it shows you on the other end, like, okay, when you get something that you strive for, like, you get the big house and, you get certain things like that, and you have the kids, your kids grow up. So now you got this big crib, and it's like, you're like, okay, well, I got all these rooms. Now you have nothing but you gotta tell family, hey, y'all come over. Whenever y'all want to come over, come through. And so now you got a homestead. So regardless of where your family members at in their life, hey, you can just come, come kick it. And I want that. And I want that.
I want a compound. I think more and more. I think I want a compound.
Yeah.
And it don't necessarily have to be family. I really just want to buy like, or at least get together with a handful of people.
Yeah.
And buy like 250 acres.
Yeah.
Divide it down, whoever we got, whatever. And just hypothetically, let's say it's like 5 people.
Yeah.
People sitting on a good portion of land. We can build our shit, have our own little compound. If you just keep the trees up there, let it grow, you can have it just yours.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, I will move certain people. Like, if you want to come here, you want this house, you got this acre of land, it's yours and whatnot. And then that also keeps stuff like that in the family. But hold on one second. Hey, for like the listeners to know, I ain't even talking to the listener. I'm talking to anybody that I ever like then gave y'all some wise, or you feel like I'm the most wisest person in the world. It is literally, I have probably just finished texting him, and he done said some shit to me. And then at that point, when he said it to me, I'm like, oh yeah, everybody need to do this shit.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
It
I gotta stay consistent.
Hold on, I gotta write this. That ain't crazy. Like.
Take your time with it. It's all, and I think with Story for Story, it's just like, that's really what it is. It's just.
Is there any way I can get on Story for Story?
Yes.
Or give me something to talk about? Even if I just fill in the spot there, niggas think it's you and I just pop up.
Yes. So now that would be, it'll be dynamic. I have to make it dynamic.
That's
so
fine.
so you see how I do the transitions, right?
Yes.
It would have to be where I cut it up where it's like, I'm in a scene, then both of us in the scene, and we kind of interchanging it. You know what I'm saying? Because really, Story for Story is just a quick message. I struggle with making it just 1 minute. Because saying, like, what's up, y'all? It's Mo Virginia with Story for Story. That's 3 seconds right there. Because like you got to take the pause, and in this episode, and then you got to add the like dynamic, like the way to
the flow.
I can't
of
just
it.
word sandwich it out. I can't just, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not gonna flow right.
Yeah, it's not gonna flow because you got to flow with the transitions and the pauses. So I may really only be speaking for like 35 seconds, but everything else is like, I'm still trying to figure out the format. But there's 100%.
Are you plan on staying with the minute?
Yes, until I go to another platform, because they say that this is what I'm aiming to do. They were like, and I say they. I just saw this TikTok where they were like throwing out stats saying after the first 3 episodes most podcasts go to the wayside.
I believe that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like if you shoot 21 episodes, you're in the top 1%.
I seen something just in my natural research of looking at things, and this is not any official numbers. It's just the patterns that I peep. 100 episodes, you're not necessarily secure, but you got enough.
Yeah.
To do something with.
Exactly.
That first, like you said, most people don't get past the first 10.
I almost stopped at 3. Really? I did those first 3, and then I had my son in August. And then I took from like August.
Damn, August?
Yeah, August 10th. Yeah. Yep. That's crazy. But from August to the fall, like from August to October, it seems like such a like violent jump from summer and going crazy.
Fourth quarter is normally when I don't do nothing.
Yeah, for real.
That's how my military schedule is kind of mixed up with, so naturally just my body. Yeah. So I just take October to December. Like stuff like this always happen at that point in time. And then the first quarter on, I'm locked in.
Some people call it building their potential energy and then turn it into kinetic energy. Because sometimes you'll be like, you want to do something, but you really just want to sit back and like do nothing.
I have to tell myself all the time.
And you're thinking that it's a bad thing, that you're not doing anything. But sometimes it's building up the potential energy and then you turn it into kinetic energy. And sometimes your body moves off cycles on its own.
True.
So you'll be like, why can't I get out of this? Am I depressed?
Yeah, I guess you could be in a seasonal depression and you ain't nothing you can do about that.
Yeah, and in some cases, it may not be depression. You just building up that energy to do more, to turn it into some energy that you can actually utilize. Because if you can go 100 miles an hour and you could just crank stuff out, that's how people get burnt out. And that's noted, like sometimes some people don't have that ability to be able to like stop for a second, watch some shows. And I watch a lot of YouTube, and I mark it up as, I've coined the phrase of information synthesis, where I'm just synthesizing all this information, whether it be about cameras, efficiency, ChatGPT prompts, how to use Canva, how to use CapCut, all these new different things. I'm just synthesizing all this information. And I don't do anything. I don't do anything but build up information. And then when I'm ready to do something, I have a combination of information where I could just knock things out one by one by one. And sometimes I'll do it like, of course, I'm still trying to convert this into, I guess, for lack of a better phrase, making more money in life. But like I'm at a point now where it's like, once I get really ambitious, because, ambition and inspiration, they come and go like as they please. You know what I'm saying? You never know when you're going to get inspired. You can be on your way to work and feel super inspired, but you got to go to work. You can't work on a project right now. You know what I mean? But like, I take that inspiration, that ambition, I don't do anything. I just write it down. I write down all the things that I need to do, because it was a guy who said, he was like, inspiration and ambition can sometimes, well, I'm paraphrasing, I'm butchering it, but inspiration and ambition can be a killer to achieving goals, because some people don't do things until they feel ambitious or feel inspired. So that means it could be 6 months between you feeling inspired. So
when it hit.
Exactly. And then you'll do a whole bunch and then you kind of drop off. But if you write those things down, it's a saying that goes, you don't have to use ambition and inspiration. Sometimes all you have to do is the work that's required. That's all you have to do. You don't have to be hype about it. You don't have to be happy about it. You don't have to be super like cranked up just to do it. This is all you need to do. And when you can write it out, hey, this is all I need to do, you don't have to feel inspired. You know what I mean? You could just do it and knock it out. So when I get inspired, I just write it down. It could be 30 things. And then I just start knocking things down one by one as time goes.
I just don't normally have a piece of paper and something to write down. So, but recently, I have been getting, my girl been telling me, and I've definitely just got to do it out of sight of mind. I'm writing it down. She said, don't even put it in, you could put it in your phone. Because normally I just write it in my phone.
Yeah.
But she was like, write it.
The phone is such a distracting place.
Because I don't look at it, which I feel like is a good thing that has been beneficial. I'll put my year goals at the beginning of the year, quarterly goals at the beginning of the quarter or whatnot, and then that's what I need, absolutely.
Yeah. Get you a joint like this. Just a little black book. It could be small. It could be, and I promise you this ain't a flex, but it's just, you'll just start filling it up, man.
First off,
you'll just start
your
filling
handwriting look better than mine.
Oh, and it's horrible. So that
speaks.
Yeah. I guess I'm writing in a way where you're gonna have to decode it first.
Hey, that JV, somebody 4,000 years from now, gonna find that book and be like, "Oh, this is the philosophy."
Yeah, they're gonna think it's ancient text.
I wonder how much. This is about to get off subject real quick.
Yeah.
I wonder how much of that stuff we have, and then like how long or if ever we have the siphon of what's the BS and what's not. Because I'm sure they done found some shit like
that. They think it's Egyptian scrolls, and it was just a guy's grocery list. He was on the way to the market. You know what I'm saying? Like
owl face, two staffs.
Exactly. That was it. And all it meant was chicken wings and some bread and some bread loaves.
You got to take it to the museum underneath some lights.
Yeah. But I think at this point, man, like getting a notebook and stuff like that, and it'll start out slight. I think when I had got from the job that I got when I first got to DC, I ended up getting let go from that job. Mm-hmm. And once I got let go, I was working. I got an at-home job, and it's funny because when having a work from I say at-home job, but a job where you can work from home like 24/7, it changed. Well, I got to learn myself a little bit more.
Yeah, you got that time alone.
Yeah, because I'm working, but man, I was in the house for some reason. I was watching along with watching all of my normal content, I got really into like fashion hauls. For I don't know why, with people like getting clothes and just putting different clothes on from all these different websites. I'm like, why am I watching this? But it's satisfying for some reason. Yeah,
the dopamine popping. Yeah,
but the only thing about working from home is that you have, if you're the type of person who's also an introvert, you will have very minimal human interaction outside of a console or interface or a computer or a phone. So having people there, I will watch people vlog. I was watching way more vlogs. I'm watching 18, 19-year-olds go to Miami for the first time, completely randomly, kind of just letting the algorithm play out.
Do you feel like that was like the charge, like the kinetic, building up the kinetic energy?
I think it could have been part that, and part I just wanted to hear people's voices.
Because when you think, okay, you work from home. I've seen this because I've known a couple people that started working from home from COVID, and a few of them is still working from home, and some in transition. I feel like it is a line that can be beneficial and can't be beneficial. Well, sometimes it can go either way. That you not dealing with the normalcies of going to work. You're not dealing with traffic. You're not dealing with waking up early. You're not dealing with a whole lot of stuff. Make sure what am I going to eat or whatever I'm going to do. So then that takes a lot of stress out your life that you might not necessarily normal that is stress. Now the problem is I feel like it can get to a point where you might need to replace that with something. Yeah. But for a brief period, you did it for what, like maybe a year?
Yeah, I think I did it for about 4 or 5 months.
So perfect. Yeah. So 4 or 5 months. So basically a quarter. So basically a quarter is your stress overload or your normal day-to-day flight or flight just gets eliminated and it's straight peace.
That's it.
Now, other stuff that comes with that, and obviously by yourself, you can be talking to, having conversations that you might not would have had the energy to focus on the other time. Yeah. But I feel like that period of time where people that work from home, most times right before they make the decision that they want to go outside or something like that, work from a job, but it's beneficial.
It is.
But if it's too much of it, it can become a bad thing.
It becomes relaxing for myself, because I live in a walkable neighborhood. Based on, in the area that we lived in when we was growing up in Carver Community and VCU, everything was walkable.
Yes.
So I had to make sure wherever I lived, like living in an apartment, it had to be walkable. I needed to have a coffee shop. I could just go and grab a coffee or a little pastry or something like that. A pizza spot where, you can just go grab a slice of pizza or whatever. You can walk, grab a pizza, whatever. Like a little convenience store, like a CVS or something like that.
I believe that's why